Hello and welcome to Ignite with Mwangala, with me, Mwangala Chakalashi Santos. Now, I'm so excited for today's show because they say when you empower a woman, you'd have empowered a whole nation. My guest for the show today is a private enterprise development professional with more than 12 years experience. She is the executive director of WEAC, that's Women's Entrepreneur Access Center, formerly known as We Create. She is no other than Miss Nambula Kachumi. Miss Nambula, welcome to Ignite.
Thank you very much, Mwangala, and thank you for having me today.
I'm so excited because today we're talking about women.
Oh, yes.
Of course, the youths have not been left out. So before we talk about what exactly you do, who is Miss Nambula Kachumi?
Great, thank you for that. I'm Nambula. I was born and raised in Kitwe. I went to school there. I have 5 children. I'm a wife.
Okay.
And later on, I moved to Lusaka to come to the University of Zambia, and later on went on to pursue other, programs with the University of Nicosia, for example. Mm-hmm. And I've worked throughout my life, and almost half of my career, or over half of my career, I've worked around women's economic empowerment programs, gender mainstreaming, and basically international development. So I have worked on a number of programs that have inspired and motivated me to look deeply into some of the issues that support women's positioning. And I worked for various programs, for example, that specifically look at designing programs like financial programs or financial packages that support more access for women and for girls as well. And so that is me.
Oh, wow. Okay. You seem to have a lot of passion for women. Why is that? Is it something that you picked from somebody, or you just thought women matter?
Well, I think basically my passion for women and women's empowerment comes from my experience, the journey of being a woman and having gone through different phases has really impacted the way I look at women's trajectory in life. And it's also helped me to see things in a way that enables me to take more interest in creating positive influence, that allow women to expand their space and basically move from the margins of society and the economy into the mainstream. And so all my life I have worked to understand better, and align myself with interventions and opportunities that allow women's access to various economically empowering tools and resources.
Fantastic. Yeah. Now let's talk about equity. Do you think women have equal opportunities as men do?
Well, I think I'm the wrong person to ask that because for a very, very long time I have always, advocated, and fought for equality and equity because I think we have not yet reached a stage where we're able to say, women have equal access to job opportunities, for example, to income. There are so many things right now that act as a barrier, that disempower women to take on leadership positions where they're able to make key decisions that influence generations of women and girls to come. So I think equity, not yet, but I think we're getting there. There's a very positive outlook now. People are beginning to be more positively influenced in terms of how they allow, that pipeline of women that want to get onto higher aspirations. So I think we're getting there, and the more we have more people on board that are able to provide that opportunity, I think the better things will look in the future.
Yeah. Now you are the executive director of WEAC. Has that journey been easy for you?
Well, very interesting. First of all, WEAC, the Women's Entrepreneurship Access Center, has been a very empowering and strategic platform that enables women entrepreneurs to start and grow their businesses in a very positive environment. One of our key focus areas is to advance gender equality in entrepreneurship. So we look at things that empower women to access resources, receive training, mentorship, expose them to opportunities that allow them to basically grow and move from the micro level, to a level where they can meaningfully be able to generate revenue. And so that journey in itself has not been easy, because there are so many barriers right now that act as a drawback to women growing their businesses and coming from the micro perspective, because you will notice that most of the programs that are to do with women and girls are seen to be as a nice to do. They're always micro. It's always about microfinance, about micro entrepreneurship. It's always about corporates, for example, thinking about ways how they can help women and girls from a very vulnerable perspective. But I think we need to get to a space where we're able to look at women as equal contributors into this space. And what has been most difficult in running a program such as ours is how extremely difficult it is for women to venture, for example, into certain sectors that have got very low participation. And when I mean venture, I mean venturing successfully, where they're able to grow their businesses in a way where they begin to impact the economy, because most of the things that women do are seen to be micro. And so these are the conversations that we've had, that I've personally had with private development sector, private sector development programs, to see how we can change that narrative and begin to see women as having as a powerhouse that can enable so many things. So it hasn't been an easy journey, but it's also been very fulfilling, because you see these stories told over the years about how somebody comes from idea stage and gets into a space where they have enough confidence and exposure to take their thinking and their businesses to the next level.
Oh, wow, amazing. That must be an exciting journey. Not an easy one, I must say, but very exciting. So what is We Are all about? What are your objectives? What do you want to achieve? I mean, I know that this year, you were telling me earlier that this year you're celebrating 5 years in existence.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow, that's exciting.
Absolutely.
So what are you all about, and what are some of your objectives?
Right. So WeAC is a center. It's a physical and now a virtual space that grows an entrepreneurial community of women, providing a positive environment for them to gain access to different resources, get professional networks, connected to different entities that allow them to access, for example, finance, mentorship, training, and basically have a place where they can go through a process that helps them to start and grow their businesses. So we work with women from different sectors and at different business levels. So from startup to very early stage, onto pre-acceleration and acceleration. So basically all the way until we support the establishment of a business and basically look through how we can support the business life cycle. And so we have different programs that run every quarter or every 6 months. From incubation programs to acceleration programs. And so we are looking at sectors such as creative industries, manufacturing, energy, agriculture, which is one sector that has had the larger participation of most of the women that have gone through our program. And we take them through a process that supports their business building. And we have a very unique way of approaching business building for women, because we know that there are many other things that that influence women's success. So we're not only looking at the business part, but how can we create networks, provide a physical space like co-working space for them to be able to grow their professional networks. Also have access to other things that are equally important. How do you grow business leadership in women? How do you grow confidence? How do you establish them to position themselves in the market, to be able to negotiate, to close deals, to be able to go through this pipeline of becoming more investable? How can they sell better? So there's so many things that we look at. And we also look at issues of work-life balance, for example, because we know that the market doesn't have a fair play for women most of the times. And we see, for example, in the supply chain, you know, how sometimes women are disadvantaged. We see a lot of contracts not being given to women, especially in very challenging sectors like the mining sector, manufacturing, and so on. We see access to finance as a big struggle for female-owned businesses. And so we have a way of pushing conversations around how, for example, trade can open up better for women, access to finance, and so on and so forth. So we basically look at the different components that matter in terms of making a business successful. And we've had an overwhelming response from women in Zambia since we established in 2015.
Oh, wow.
And like you rightfully put it, we are celebrating 5 years now. And from the onset, because WEAC, formerly We Create, was the first female-only incubation hub in Zambia. And so when we set up, we realized that there was a true gap in the market. Women were receiving training through workshops and one-off events, but we didn't have any incubation programs that would consistently offer business building for women. And so it was a great opportunity, you know, to really grow a network of women entrepreneurs that would then go through this process.
Oh, wow, that's powerful. You know, I've always asked this question, that why is it that women don't get fair or equal opportunities? Do you think we as women also play a role? Do we contribute somehow? Because, I mean, do we get intimidated whenever a man shows up on the market? Or what really is the problem? Have we tried to answer this problem, to find the root cause of why is it that there is no balance in the market? Has it just been like that since time immemorial, or are we contributing as women?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Mangala, and that is something that I personally ask myself every day when I wake up. And when I go into the office, I would either find somebody, you know, one of our women waiting and wanting to speak about some struggle that they went through last week, that they lost a contract or something like that. And I ask myself, why are we not making so much headway, you know, in ensuring that we create an equal platform for women to become leaders, to position themselves, and to access, you know, opportunities. But I think there've also been some of the barriers that include systemic barriers within our culture, you know, our socialization process, and the perspective of society on women. We cannot run away from that. And this is why it's extremely important to grow a generation of young people that from the onset get the drive, and they get it, they actually get it, that for me to be able to come out, first of all, I need to be fearless. You know, and some of the other things that have contributed, for example, access to education, you know, for women. What women are getting is basic education. But the process of ongoing learning, and I'm not talking about schoolwork or classwork. I mean the daily life experiences that enables you to learn things along the way, to acquire knowledge, and to impact that knowledge positively is what we are lacking. And this has been as a result of some of the systemic barriers that almost you know, playing a negative influence on women, and not enabling that environment that will help them come out. You know, so I think a lot of things need to change about women. We need a lot of role models. We need to showcase women that are doing it, that are through the struggles, they are making it, and you know, trying to show the world, to demonstrate that it is possible with a lot of hard work, agility, support. And so a lot of things need to change. We're not yet there, but we will get there.
Wow. Okay, we take a short break. When we come back, I'd like us to talk about some of your success stories. I mean, 5 years is a long time. I'm sure you must have success stories.
Absolutely.
We take a short break, and when we come back, we continue talking to Ms. Nambula as we talk about success stories of women. Don't go away.
advertise on this program and enjoy amazing introductory rates, please call us on +260 211 290959 or +260 211 290912 or +260 953 538 000 or send us an email at loyolazam@gmail.com.
Hello, and if you're joining us now, I'm talking to Ms. Nambula, the Executive Director of WeArc, and we are talking about women entrepreneurs. Before the break, we were talking about some of the challenges that women face. And I think you and I were saying how annoying it is that, you know, women tend to show up on the market like, I am not enough. Do you think culture has everything to play with how we feel or how we show up on the market?
Well, not that culture has everything, you know, it's played the major role. Obviously, it has been part of the bigger picture. But I think there are other things that we overlook that are critical, you know, as a culture has been. But I think that, like I mentioned, there's certain things that need to change to get us to a place where we begin to build more confidence, you know, for women to take on very challenging you know, tasks, you know, in society. We need to build the confidence in women that they can actually make it just like anybody else. They can be as successful at their aspirations as anyone can be. So yeah, I think we still have a long way.
Yeah, but we're getting there.
We're getting there.
Okay. Now let's talk about support amongst ourselves as women. Do you think we support each other the way we're supposed to be supporting each other? Are we sisters keepers? For example, you're executive director. do you deliberately mentor other young people to get to where you are?
Actually, I was about to say that, you know, in women's success, role modeling and mentorship has been very, very key for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
You know, you will remember also, you know, in the old days, I remember my grandmother, one of the things that made her so proud, she would talk about the bond that existed, you know, between her and her sisters, her immediate family members, her cousins, female role models that had a great influence, you know, in her life. And this is the same when we come to the boardroom, you know, we come to corporate spaces. I think that's the same culture that needs to be inculcated in the process of empowering women, that there are other people that have made it, that have gone before you in life, that you can learn from. You can learn from their failures, you can learn from their successes. And in my network of work, I mean, you'd be surprised to know that we have built a network of women, a community of women, and most of the, you know, how women are gaining opportunities, it's through other women.
Yeah.
So when they have, for example, market opportunities, they share. So we've deliberately also embedded that into our programs, where the networking happens amongst themselves, they're able to share opportunities, and I think that is what helps. So I don't believe that the culture of pulling each other down is the major reason why women are not making it and succeeding. We need to change our mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's got everything to do with mindset.
Absolutely.
Okay, now let's talk about some of your success stories. I know you've just told us that you have a great network of women that, you know, support each other in terms of opportunities. What are some of the success stories that you can show off as a woman, you know, that in the last 5 years, these are some of the things that we have achieved?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So first of all, I'd also just like to give recognition to our major partners and that we have leveraged to get where we are. You know, for example, the U.S. Embassy that has been a major supporter of most of the programs that we do. It has been, you know, it's been all about collaboration, about building networks that you can leverage to advance what you do. And this has enabled us to see success in most of the programs and women that have gone through our system, our process. And so it's been amazing to see some of the businesses that we support come from idea stage. Sometimes women come when they're at a place where they're broken. And maybe it has nothing to do with the way their business is functioning, but it has everything to do with where they're coming from, you know, how society is judging them, the little confidence that the market has in their product, and so on. So we've seen these businesses be churned out and they've gone to market as quickly as possible. They have put products in the market that have been seen and been celebrated by the world. We've seen women in agriculture, for example, who started when they came to the WEAC Center. They started when they just had an idea. Today they are supplying ShopRite, they're supplying Melissa, they're supplying all these chain stores. And our success comes from the stories that we see, you know, the change that we are seeing, that women are really going through the process of developing products that begin to make a difference, depending on where they are, what they're doing. So we've had quite a number of very positive outcomes. And I mean, we've seen, like I mentioned before, the agriculture sector is one sector where women, as you know, have ventured for a very, very long time. But we see them working in the very lower value chains of agriculture. But we have seen one of the women, for example, I hope she'll allow me to share her story, Mutepa Manchemba, who was, she runs Star Royal, and she started her business by working with an outgrower, you know, community in Mongu. And I remember she would share her struggle in terms of how difficult it was to work with that sort of constrained market because of the lack of infrastructure in that area, you know, the low education and so on. Today she's processing one of the best cashew products, you know, in the country. And her product is all over on the market. We have Sarah Ngwenya, for example, you know, who came at idea stage. She was working with a group of outgrowers in Mumbwa. Today she's producing one of the biggest quantities in edible oils and seed replication, and has further accessed funding and investment from different partners through the support of WEAC. You know, we've seen women that have developed technology and innovation products that are now on the market and are solving real problems, creating real solutions. We have had over 3,700 women since we launched that has gone through the WEAC program in different sectors, various business levels. And we've seen, you know, the kind of impact that these businesses are creating. So after 5 years, I think we're extremely proud and extremely thankful to our partners, our collaborators, but mostly thankful to the women themselves that have helped us to learn from their journeys, because that has equally now helped us to see better how we can serve or support a pipeline of women, especially young people who are aspiring to go into the business world.
Wow, I have been ignited. How does one become a member of WEAC?
Right, so we have a membership package that offers different support areas. So it's a segmented membership program where we have startups, we have early stage businesses, and we have established businesses. So once you want to join, we have a call for applications every quarter for all our programs, incubation, pre-acceleration and acceleration. And so it depends on what you want, whether you want opportunities for investment. We've got investor-ready programs. We've got programs also that are sector-specific, that are looking at women, for example, in the sector of biotechnology and bioscience. We have a program called the FEM BioBiz program. So you come in through membership. We're currently running an accelerator program called the Africa Food 360, which is basically targeting women in the agriculture sector who would like to expand their markets and develop new products in agriculture. We have women in energy under our program called the African Women in Energy and Power, together with our partners based in South Africa. And specifically, it's targeting women that would want to grow in that area. We have creative industries where we have young photographers, young women in art, and who want to learn skills and and take that as a business.
Yeah.
So we put out a call for applications every quarter, and if you're interested, you can express your interest. Then we call you to a filtering process through what we call the Build a Business Workshop, where together with our mentors, we're able to evaluate your business model and assess, whether you can proceed to the next level. And yeah, that's how you get to be part of WEAC.
Oh, fantastic. Now you've talked about training, you've talked about mentorship. Where do you get a pool of your mentors to work with the women?
Yeah, so we have a very interesting and powerful network of mentors, experts from various backgrounds. These have been trained and certified to offer mentoring and coaching on our programs. By the way, I forgot to mention that we offer entrepreneurship programs on very different angles. So, where we have physical trainings, but then we also have an online program called the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, AWE, in partnership with the US Embassy and Bongo Hive. Okay. So it's basically an online or virtual platform that allows women to connect, to learn, to be trained and be coached from wherever they are. So they can be in Kasama, in Solwezi, and this has allowed us also to reduce the physical gap that exists between somebody wanting to be educated, but they are constrained by the physical space. And so we have mentors that are specifically trained to offer skills, whether it's sector specific or basically business building programs. And we get these mentors from different sectors. We're working with bankers, we're working with legal people that are able to offer mentorship from that perspective. We're working with business development service providers, and we also have institutional partners that come in to offer different mentoring solutions to our network.
Okay, great. Now we are in this very, I don't even know what to call it, the coronavirus, the COVID-19 that everybody talks about. Yeah. And we've seen it cripple a lot of businesses out there. We've seen people go down to ground zero. And I think we'll see the strong emerge out of it even much, much stronger. What are you doing to support or to speak to businesses during this very trying moment, I think, which is a global pandemic?
Right. Well, first of all, I think I'd like to basically just applaud the direction that we have taken as a country, both from the public sector and the private sector, coming together to see how we could implement measures to reduce the negative impact of the coronavirus. And I must say, from where I'm coming from the entrepreneurship support aspect, working with SMEs, I've seen the kind of toll that this pandemic has taken on businesses, and this has been our major cry, because we've seen some of the businesses that we work with really go down to nothing because the supply chain has been affected, they cannot access finance, their market has shrunk, and so we ourselves have had to be innovative about how we support them and get them through this process. And like you have rightfully said, it's the strong, the established that will come out of this, fine. So what we have done at WEAC is we have a weekly online program, which is called WEAC Online, where we connect with our entrepreneurial community and bring on board different experts, including trainers. Sometimes we have guest speakers that come to share the different aspects of surviving the COVID-19. And this has, week after week, has enabled entrepreneurs to connect and listen, and also to see what opportunities are there during this very, very difficult time. It has received overwhelming response. It has gone very, very well, and through that we've been able to connect women entrepreneurs to different resources. We're working with Atlas Mara, for example, that has a package for SMEs that would like some sort of stimulus, through the challenges that they're facing. It's in partnership with the US Embassy and the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs. We've also partnered with African More. We recently just signed an MOU and rolled out a program which is a digital migration program, which enables businesses to advertise their businesses online and become more visible. So this is part of our e-commerce initiative that allows us to reach out even to the remotest businesses that have no access to market, but they may have more visibility through this program. So we've done quite a number of things. We've worked with our own entrepreneurs that are doing different things. They're running feeding, programs in hospitals. So women that, for example, are processing nutritious foods, they have helped other communities that are vulnerable. And we've worked with them to come up, to pivot their business models and come up with the most effective and cost-efficient way of remodeling what they do to survive in the market.
Wow, fantastic. We take a short break. When we come back, where do we see we are in the next 5 years? Don't go away.
To advertise on this program and enjoy amazing introductory rates, please call us on +260 211 290959 or +260 211 290912 or +260 953 538 000. Or send us an email at loyolazam@gmail.com.
Welcome back. If you're joining us now, I'm talking to Ms. Nambula, the Executive Director of WEAC, and she was just telling us some of the success stories. I am excited. I am definitely becoming a member of WEAC because I have been ignited. Yeah. So now you've told us some of the success stories that you've had in the last 5 years. I'm sure you have a plan. Women always have a plan on what's going to happen next. Where do we see WEAC in the next 5 years? Or is that too much? Where do we see WEAC in the next 2 to 3 years to come?
Right, thank you so much, Mwangala. So our focus at this pivot level of what we do, the first milestone, first 5 years has been tremendous. The experience has been a mix of all sorts of things, the struggle, and at some point we had to run, this program or this organization basically on no resources. And so we've had our own struggles. It's been quite a journey, and we are at a point where we now have a new strategic focus and have a vision, in the next 5 years to create the biggest empowering platform for women entrepreneurs in Zambia, where we're going to connect women from all over and also taking an inclusive strategy which enables women from all backgrounds to be part of this empowering process. And so our theme for this 5 years is empowering women entrepreneurs with impact at scale. So we are looking to scale what we do to a level where we're able to reach out more, become more relevant, because development is not about people that are along the line of rail, but we have people that are operating and doing businesses in the bottom of the pyramid that have struggled, to go to market and meaningfully create income that will support their livelihood. So we are looking at working more, towards being more inclusive and, working around areas that matter the most. I think in what we do, ultimately what we want to see is impact. So how do we scale that impact at a very eco-inclusive measure? And so we are looking to open satellite centers in different parts of the country. One of the programs that we are running will enable us to roll 2 more sites. For example, in the next couple of months, we'll have a site in Kitwe and in Ndola. We've worked in Eastern Province, for example, on an agriculture-based program that enables us to grow SMEs in the agriculture sector in that province. So we are looking to expand what we're doing, but to expand with scale.
Wonderful.
scale and impact.
I love that. And I'm sure, I mean, you're already making the impact. The last 5 years, you have made quite some impact, and we see that even double in the next 5 years to come. Now, I know women are very emotional. I know you're emotional. I'm emotional. Women, that's who we are. How do you detach yourself from the Nambula in the boardroom and the Nambula at home?
Yeah.
Or especially if a woman comes with a touching story, and how do you make sure that you remain, assertive, you remain focused on what you're supposed to do, as opposed to getting in there with all your emotions? How do you practice that detachment? Because sometimes it can be very difficult for us women,
Yeah. I'll be very realistic and very honest with you, Mwangala. I think there's always a very thin line, between your experience at personal level and, the corporate level or the professional level. But I think what sets women apart is how we're able to handle, situations. Because I won't lie to you, there are times when you become extremely invested in what you do, that it begins to affect who you are as a person. I'm a mother of 5, and you obviously know that that's not easy, because you're having to deal with children that at different ages, my oldest son is 22, my youngest is 5. So you can imagine the chaos that goes into going through a day, paying particular attention to each one of them. And in the meantime, I have an office that is extremely busy. A lot of expectations from our partners, from our entrepreneurs, from everybody that we work with. So how do you get to balance those two and still remain sane? So there is no magic bullet about it. But I think what has helped me personally is being very consistent and grounded in what I do, and also realizing that it's who I am as a mother, as a wife, that makes me succeed as a leader of an organization. It's the attributes that I grow at home that help me to become more successful in my work environment. And that's one thing that a lot of us women want to run away from. You cannot detach, because you're still who you are. What enables you to thrive through those challenges is what you're grounded in, how you position yourself. Sometimes a day can take a toll on you because you've simply heard about, one of the entrepreneurs' struggles, and then you begin to think, are we winning or not? But I think for me, I enjoy what I do. It's my passion, to work in this environment. It's also my passion and my calling and dedication to be a mother and to be a wife. Right? So every day I ask God to say, help me get through this day and be a positive influence on other people. What I go through should be a lesson for others. And hopefully we will change the way society looks at women and how they're able to balance themselves in terms of personal and work life.
If you're given a choice to choose between being a man or a woman, would you still
Oh my goodness. I would not even give it a second thought.
Would you still want to show up as a woman?
Oh my goodness. I have 2 daughters. I would never change anything about my story as a woman. And I want to be a role model and an influence on their lives, that they should never regret to be who they are. God placed them, positioned them to be young women and women in society, and they will grow to be great at what they do. So that's my inspiration. And so I do not regret at all. I lament some of the times when things have been extremely difficult because I'm a woman, but then I've enjoyed this journey. I've looked at my mother, my sisters. I've seen how they have flourished through the struggles, and for me, I think that's the greatest gift, is to be a woman.
Beautiful. Where do you draw your strength from? Because I know it's not easy to be a mother, to be a wife, and then to be the boss.
So first of all, Mwangala, God above everything. Right? I'm Catholic. I've always come from a very religious background, but also a background of very strong family values. And I think that's what has grounded me this is where I draw my strength. It's through the experiences that I've had, and also knowing that no matter how tough things become, God is always there to see us through certain situations. And just having that strong family support. My husband, for example, he's a great person. He's my role model. He's succeeded so much at what he has done. He's given me the support. He's given me the confidence to do what I do. He's supported me throughout. So I think for me, family is everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's what makes us go out there and do great things.
Beautiful. If you were on your deathbed and you were given a second chance to leave, what would you do differently?
Wow.
I know, right? Like, wow. We
Yeah.
never ask ourselves some of these questions.
I think what I would do differently is sometimes I get to think that I could have started earlier, you know, doing what I do, and that I could have done more, and then that there are other people that are very close to me, that I've had the opportunity to change their lives, but maybe I missed the chance because I was focused on what I needed to do at that particular moment. So sometimes we need to realize that change is very close to home, you know. We want to make a difference in other people's lives, but we have people that are around us that can learn from us. So maybe that's something for all of us to think about. Like how do we talk about this change and this impact, this positive outlook, but what about your neighbor, somebody who may need your help immediately, like right now?
Yeah.
And so I think that maybe that's what I would change.
Wow, that's so profound. If you were to describe yourself using one word, what would that be? Or if I had to come to any of your children and say, describe mommy using one word, what do you think that word would be?
Wow, my children always tease me about something. They always say that I have a combination of strong, tough, and soft.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how those two can work together.
Strong yet calm.
Yes.
Strong yet soft.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And they always, especially my boys, you know, my boys are bigger, they're taller than me,
than
and
you,
they're huge and everything, and and I think they know that that's my soft spot, you know. So I think I have that balance, you know, between being very, you know, strong, consistent about what I do, and being very empathetic.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
What would you like to be remembered for?
Well, I would like to be remembered as that person who made a contribution in changing the way the world looks at women entrepreneurs and empowerment for women. I would love to be remembered for that person who helped to create an environment, a more positive environment for women to succeed. And basically that person who created a positive influence on people's lives.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And that's what Ignite is all about. You know, we're all about leaving a positive and lasting impact on people's lives, and also to just ignite the best in them. And I think that's what your organization is doing, is to remind the women that we are strong and that we matter. I hope this is not the last time you're coming on Ignite.
Well, first of all, great work. I am amazed, you know, by this platform that you're providing. It's very, very inspiring. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
And I would definitely love to come back.
You are definitely coming back. It was nice having you on the show, and you're definitely coming back. It's not the first time, so I'm not going to say goodbye. I will say see you soon.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mwangala.
So there you have it. It's our responsibility to make every day count. And for women, remember, we matter. This has been Mwangala Chakalashi Santos, and join me for another exciting episode of Ignite with Mwangala.